Zing's Emporium.
Could I get another advance, Mr. Nandi?
Just make sure it's properly logged.
I'll note it next to the others, sir.
Hi.
Greetings, and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries, producers and purveyors of the finest salt tuna in Halcyon. What can I do for you today?
You know, considering I've only just been to Edgewater, I gotta say that's probably a very low bar at the moment, but Grim asked to check it with you about his tossball poster.
You know, sending you is the first bright idea I've seen from that man, because I told him to stop bothering me about it a week ago. I still don't know anything about it, but if you want to help him, Velma's the one to ask. She's in the warehouse. But I'll warn you, Grim wore her patience thin a long time ago.
Noted. Earlier I overheard you say you were having money trouble.
Or is he not paying you on account of how he tried to fix the thing his own self and busted it even worse, and then said you wasn't fixing it fast enough, so he's docking your wages again? Not that I got any prior experience with such.
Not at all, Barf.
Not at all. Mr. Nandi treats us all right and pays us well. I just spent most of my paycheck on Raptidon acid.
What? Sorry, do you normally blow your money on Raptidon parts?
Laws, no. Sometimes it's canid teeth, or mantis worm wings. Whatever Sebastian has in stock, really.
Why are you buying so much from Sebastian?
So I can talk to him, of course.
Ah.
He doesn't get going about much else.
I reckon she's got a little bit of a squish on this fella.
He's sort of the strong, silent type. Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his stuff, and some of the neighbors are complaining about the smell.
Maybe just ask him on a date.
I couldn't. What if he says no? Hey, maybe you could ask him for me. I mean, a no would still be bad, but it won't be quite as embarrassing if you ask. Oh, Mr. Nandi's doing that thing where he breathes through his nose real slowly. I'd better get back to work.
Wait, okay, I gotta know. What do you see in Sebastian?
He doesn't talk much, but he's got this quiet intensity, you know? Like there's stuff going on inside his head that you have no idea about. Plus, he's got great legs. It's hard to find a man who doesn't skimp on lower body exercises.
I really want to be with someone you can't talk to?
You think that's what I'm looking for? You're funny.
Oh. You know what? That's all I need to know.
Sorry, sometimes I get carried away.
He's got a great ass. That's why she's into him. Anyways, hi.
Well, new business turns up at last. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
You've often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me.
I must remind y'all that 26.7% is because 3 of us have landed on this planet and said hi. That's it. Anyway, now you have a meeting with me.
Did you hear that power play, Celia? They don't make them like this anymore in Halcyon. I only hope you don't judge me by my handshake. Now, what business brings you here?
Oh boy, howdy. Well, I'm looking for an information broker.
Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate. But if you're here for him, I suppose that means you aren't here for salt tuna.
Sadly, no. Jesus. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid not.
Oh, a shame. I'd been saving a bottle of iceberg-aged whiskey for an occasion like this.
Seems like you're having a rough time, Mr. Sanjar. Are you doing quite all right?
Oh, don't worry on my account. This is merely the latest in a long line of professional erotic and athletic disappointments. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board.
If you're free from the other corporations, why would you want to bring them back?
Surviving alone isn't as easy as it looks. Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now. Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious.
Nah, trust me, I understand that too well. Latest job is so goddamn precarious. And you're tired of scrounging and scraping by, is that it?
Yes, freedom is a tempting ideal, but a rather costly paramour.
Exactly. Intellectualism fuels the train to mankind's future, but the tracks the train runs on are forged from practicality.
Mr. Vicar, I don't want to be rude, but I don't think that means anything.
Yes, it's as though the good vicar has plucked the very words from my brain.
So, what do you mean you do about it?
Well, Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
Returning to the board is your only chance if you hope to survive here on Monarch. That doesn't mean it'll be easily achievable.
Indeed not. No worthwhile plan was ever simple. That's what I always say.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
Just letting you know what's going on, but enough preamble. What's the plan?
It's a two-pronged approach. The first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended.
Fair enough. Alright, but how long did it take you to figure that you need? That might be a little bit rude. It has been 10 years. Fine, but how do you mean to do that?
With a Bolt 52 cartridge, of course. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
I'm planning to destroy the board, but hey, what is this Bolt 52? It sounds useful.
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance.
Where do I find one?
In the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. These days it's overrun with marauders and raptidons.
Why are you saying it that way?
Saying what? Which way?
Arms. You're saying arms instead of arms.
That's just what it's called. It's supposed to stand for something, but I forget what.
You know what? I'm sure. I'm sure I'll know when I find it.
Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
That was some beautiful wall breaking.
What can I do for you?
I met Grim, the landing pad guard.
I see. And was his delivery of the MSI authorized greeting up to snuff?
Bang up job.
Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feedback makes it into his review. What else can I do for you?
I have a question about MSI in the quote-unquote good old days.
Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes.
How'd they get kicked off the board in the first place?
I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws.
You're getting a little bit ahead of yourself again.
You see what I have to deal with?
For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. But back then, it was known as Terra 1.
What happened to the other corpse?
As you may have noticed, this planet has more than its share of hazards. And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out.
But not MSI.
Our leadership at the time certainly wanted to.
And how did that work out?
Most regard Monarch as a lost cause. But there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up.
How forward thinking of you.
It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out.
I hope you'd treat them nice, whether it was good business or not, Mr. Sanjar. That's what being a community means. Treating people right, because it's the right thing to do.
Ms. Holcomb is our endlessly optimistic crew hand. It's good for the captain's morale.
A noble thought, Miss Holcomb. Unfortunately, noble thoughts rarely sway board policy. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms.
Who's this we announced you're talking about?
Oh, well, there were surely other junior executives with more open minds, though none of them had the temperament to handle the paperwork.
Who are we talking about? You're being cagey.
But I was keeping my tone flat and maintaining eye contact. You weren't supposed to notice I was avoiding the subject.
This is why you've never been good with presentations, sir.
Very well. Many, many years ago, Graham Bryant and I used to be collaborators of sorts.
Whom?
Graham Bryant. He leads a group of extremists out in Amber Heights.
Ah.
But he used to be as much a part of the corporate machinery as any of us. Much as he likes to forget it.
So he helped you make your case to senior executives.
Indeed. For all the good it did. MSI's then leadership wasn't enthusiastic. They insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else.
I hope you gave them the finger.
In a manner of speaking, many of us stayed behind in an act of quiet but firm defiance. As the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. I moved forward with our planned reforms as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages.
So why would they do that?
I don't know. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws. I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently.
Yeah, no, that's what most people, Yeah. Nah, trust me, capitalism seems like a good thing until the rich decide to get a little bit more richer. This is bringing a whole hell of a lot of the anarchist out of me. I'm not sorry. So what's the hazard clause?
It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
Okay.
A necessary evil for the greater good of society.
Yeah, greater good.
That's exactly how the board describes it.
And they invoked it on Monarch.
Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eyes. Rather hard to run a business that way.
How exactly do you want to be back on the board?
Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Without the board, chaos would overtake the system. Working within the established order isn't a principle to snub one's nose at, Captain.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community, and being cut off means slow strangulation.
I mean, seems to me anything's better than the corporate yoke.
I fear the MSI citizens who've been dissolved into Raptidon Cud would disagree with you. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship.
They're the ones that cut you off in the first place. You get. Good for you. Force them into the bargaining table.
I've discovered it's much easier to negotiate from a position of power. And I don't mean to leave MSI or its people at a disadvantage. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations.
All right, so you used to work for Graham. Why not mention that earlier?
As far as I'm concerned, the less said about Graham, the better. Graham seemed like a reasonable man years ago, and we both agreed that MSI's treatment of its workers was untenable. I thought reforms would be enough. I didn't realize you wanted to abolish the corporate system entirely.
I think I know who I'm siding with here.
What can I do for you?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sanjar, and all the rest of you. But, push comes to shove. Yeah, no. Anarchy in the UK, baby. Or solar system. What do we call this place? I don't know.
Velma seem out of sorts to you? She's always cranky.
I suppose I could talk to Velma first before going outside. This place is confusing. Yeah, more vending machines. And shitter. And 3 bits. What the hell have I gotten myself into? Okay. Jesus, I don't even know how the hell I found Velma here.
Look, you can tell Catherine the new shipment will be ready when it's ready, all right? She's welcome to come up here and pack boxes herself if she's in such a hurry.
What are you talking about, Catherine?
Sorry, seems I got my cables crossed. Thought you were another shakedown tough from Fallbrook. Hope you can forgive my temper. This job has been running me ragged lately. First, my autoloader foreman stages a walkout, and now my chief pescatological health manager is missing.
Your chief whomst?
Braxton. He's in charge of getting the fish fat, but also making sure they don't get too many tumors. He's a real wizard with pharmaceuticals, but he has creative notions of working hours. Comes with living in a free colony, I guess.
Ah, you're one of those folks that still want the corporate yoke. Got it. Don't you have any rules about that sort of thing?
We're not keen on rules for rules' sake around here. Means Braxton skips work sometimes, but it also means no company boss is telling me when I can take a shit. Since you don't seem to be constrained yourself, maybe you could check up on him. He lives in the apartments. Tell him Velma said to get his lazy ass down here, or she might start noticing those extra drugs he's been taking from supply. Something else on your mind?
Several things, but you seem to have a lot on here. You said Braxton's been stealing drugs?
Stealing's such a nasty word. Let's call it skimming. And yeah, let's just say I've noticed the sterile biotics we use for the fish would get used a little faster on Braxton's shifts.
Awfully nice not to say anything.
We're not like those corporate towns where you get fined for sleeping on the wrong side of the bed. Besides, the Spacer's Choice stuff we use is cheap enough. And Braxton knows how to get the salt tuna, fat, and mostly tumor-free.
Don't like the words mostly tumor-free.
This again? I swear, this is the last time I contract for any special requests. You can tell Grimm his poster came in. You can also tell him I got a better offer for it. So now it's going to Nell. That about cover it?
I mean, you still have the poster, right?
It's staying locked up in my office until Nell shows with her money.
I mean, you're just giving Grimm's poster away? Didn't he pay for it?
No. I paid Sublight for it, so it's mine. And when Nell pays me for it, it'll be hers. Grimm may have asked for the poster, but it's not his until I take his money.
You're kind of a bitch. Who's Nell?
She runs the betting parlor across the way. Nice professional lady. She asked me about the poster once. Just once. Made a real generous offer, too.
So it's about the money.
Damn right it is.
Alright, surely we can work something out.
Sure can. If you want to pay me more than Nell's offering.
Oh god, how much is that? $873 bits. I mean, you won't do much business if your neighbors hate you. Consider this an investment.
I got a feeling you and Catherine would get on like tumors on a pig. Take the poster then. And if I never hear another word about it, it'll be too soon.
Thank you. Who's this Catherine anyways?
Sublight boss out of Fallbrook. Handles most goods that come in or out of Stellar Bay. Has a mouth like a ground six spacer.
Alright, what about Caleb?
Unless you're here to tell me he's agreed to do his job again, I've got nothing to say.
Why can't you give him his pay increase?
I don't have the bits for it, plain and simple. Besides, if I make an exception for him, I gotta do the same for everyone.
She's principled, in at least this area. I will begrudgingly give her that.
Thank you. I think. If Caleb wants to keep this job, he'd better get back to it. I'm about ready to hire Sublight contractors at this rate.
Are you willing to meet him halfway?
For running me ragged while he takes an extended leave at the bar? Not on your life.
Sanjar's gonna notice your shortfalls before long. He'll hold you responsible.
Maybe so, but I bet you Caleb runs out of bits first. Then he'll have to come back. He says he's got a stash to tide his crew over. Could be he's all talk, but if the money's real, I bet you he keeps it at home. Near the diner.
You'd steal from your own people? That's low, ma'am.
That's business. Someone's got to keep the lights on.
I got a very itchy trigger finger right now. I don't know why. Why do I have an itchy trigger finger? It might have
Fine by
to
me.
do something with capitalism again. It always happens whenever money becomes an issue. I don't understand it. It's just I get so itchy. Oh. Well, at least this place is nicer. Well, I say nicer looking than Edgewater, but it's something. How the hell did I get here? Bolt with his name. There's a warehouse. There's live off stash. I mean, I'm gonna have a little chit chat with. Actually, maybe I can talk to Velma again. Hello, workbench.
I'd give you a friendlier welcome, but I'm up to my elbows in salt tuna guts.
Gosh, this old girl's in a rough way. Even old Bess in Edgewater was in better shape than this.
Hey, you want to try running a cannery with obsolete machinery? You be my guest.
Sorry, ma'am. I wasn't trying to be rude. It's just your flanging apparatus isn't making a strong flange, so your sealer isn't sealing right, and...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Huh. I'll have to try that. Anyway, what do you folks need?
I wonder if I can bring up a strike. Like a mass strike. I don't know, people gotta work and all that fun stuff, but this Spishot could use a good cleaning. I hope that's why it's in the sink. Eh. Dang it. Hmm. Eh. Ah, dang it. We're so close to making that jump. Any other named people in here besides Velma? Don't be tempted. Don't be tempted. Don't be tempted. Alright, that's the way out there. Why, hello. Get in here. Get in here. Do. Phenomena.
Wish I could do that.
Somehow I doubt that you would have the time, but that's mostly because you're a good person for personal files. Bypass. And I want to view Hetch. Braxton and Hetch's files are filled with Saltuna breeding charts, various pharmaceutical formulae, and musings on why Saltuna seem to prefer Borst and beans over plain Borstwurst. Hate that. Messages. To be hatched. Braxton, the fish in tank 23A are looking a little lumpy. I'm not going to make it in. That's fine, but you have to let me know so I can stay on top of the doses. Mr. Nandi, we really need to talk about this Altoona situation. I've had to let 4 batches rot in a warehouse over the last 2 months because we're not finding buyers. I know the situation with the board puts us in a tough spot, but we need to start thinking about how we're going to keep Stellar Bay afloat if we can't get sales up. Brax, seriously, where are you? You've missed 3 shifts. This is getting ridiculous even for you. V. I mean, I suppose stealing from her ain't gonna be a great solution, but maybe they should have considered pivoting. I don't know, something other than salt tuna. Worker. Man, typical factory stuff though, man. Walk in, everything looks all nice and bright and fine and dandy. Then you walk like right through a door and suddenly, everyone's just kind of trying to enjoy themselves.
Smells like rat in here. Oh, it does work.
Apartment. No, wait. I was gonna say these are apartments, but, can I at all talk to you, Mr. Sanjar Nandi, about your Velma?
A fine day for business, isn't it? Anyway, what can I do for you?
I guess not. Summary report of conditions within Stellar Bay. There's a lot of bad stuff that's probably happening. Oh, you're named Sebastian.
Hello, stranger. Can I interest you in Raptidon tongue? Or maybe some canid toenails? You look like a man who's looking for some mostly fresh animal parts?
Why would I want any of that?
I don't know. Celia usually buys whatever I have, and Mr. Pickett seemed real interested. So I thought maybe I was onto something.
Mr. Pickett? Franklin Pickett from Edgewater?
That's him. He'd been here years, but he always talked about going back to Edgewater one day.
Yeah, Celia buys your socks because she likes you. Actually, wait, no. You know who's talking about?
Sure. Mr. Pickett used to run the community center outside Edgewater. He had this grand idea to make it a museum for halcyon moths.
Oh yeah, that crazy guy.
As my dad told it, Mr. Pickett was always going on about getting a manta queen for the last display. He left the Vale, gosh, years ago.
He came to Stellar Bay years ago, just before the board cut us off. Ended up stuck here. He was always real interested in our monsters. Manta queens, especially.
Have you seen one?
Sure, they're real big. Hard to miss them.
Yeah, I know. Ugh. Where have you seen one?
Well, I could send you to the same place I sent Mr. Pickett, but I haven't seen him in a few weeks. To tell true, I'm starting to get a bit worried about him.
Captain, can we look for him? I'd feel awful if somebody from home was in trouble and we didn't do nothing.
Tell you what, I'll tell you where I sent Mr. Pickett if you promise to look for him. Help him out if he's got himself in trouble. Fair deal?
Sure. If he's a friend of Parv's, suppose I ought to.
Thanks, Captain.
All right then. Leave town through the southern gate, the one right here, and head past the abandoned ruins. Last Mannequin I saw was in the wilds out that-a-ways. Could be Mr. Pickett still out there, too.
I got a bad feeling about Pickett. Talk about Celia.
Huh. I haven't seen her in a few days, but I've been meaning to ask her how that Raptidon acid is working out. I hope it's working okay, because no one else really seems interested in this stuff.
Yeah. Would you consider going on a date with her?
Wait, I see what's going on. She put you up to this so she could get a discount, hmm?
Oh, no, that's not it at all. She's smitten with you. You smited her. Smote? Smoot?
Don't get me wrong. I'd like to give her a discount. She's a real fine lady. Always talks nice and slow, so I understand. But if I give her one, I won't hardly make a bit, on account of no one else having any use for Raptidon tongues.
Don't take my word for it. Spend some time with her. I promise you won't ask for a discount.
You sound pretty sure. And she is awful nice.
Give her a chance. Give yourself a chance. Take her someplace nice.
Okay, I'll do it. Once her shift ends, we'll go someplace nice. Maybe to Chef Raymond's.
That's the spirit, Sebastian. Be yourself. Between you and me, Captain, I'm not sure Miss Celia knows him too well, but we can hope, right? I want them to be happy.
So, are you gonna pivot from doing Monster Park stuff?
You look like a man who's
Oh boy. Raptidon meat. Mantiqueen chitin. Raptidon flank hide. Soft flank, harvested from a kill. For shell of mantisaur. Cystic pig tumors. Yum. I think I'll pass, Sebastian. I'm sorry. Does mean we can talk to her, though.
Have you talked to Sebastian yet? What did he say?
Said I'll go on a date with you.
Okay, but how did he say it? Did he sound excited? Or like he was just agreeing to it? Was he like, yay, a date with Celia? I've secretly been waiting for this. Or was it more, sure, I don't have anything else going on?
He likes you, Celia. Just don't ask for any discounts.
Not to worry. If I never buy another Raptidon tongue, it'll be too soon. Look at me going on. I'm sure you've got other things to do, and Mr. Nandi's giving me that back-to-work look. Anyhow, thank you.
I won't lie, wasn't really expecting a level up from that. Let's see. I'm gonna have to start increasing some of this other random crap that I've got. See what is inside lock containers. Corrosion and in-ray damage increases. Actually, I probably should be upping locks. We'll do 5 into locksmithing. And then do the other 5 into two-handed. Yeah. Oh, that's the codex again. Anyways, heck. Let's go ahead and deal with Grim. I'm so glad that I didn't have to pay her extra just so as this dude will get his freaking poster.